Just a heads up for everyone listening to this episode. This episode contains some discussion of some fairly explicit themes due to the nature of the content itself that might not be suitable for all viewers or listeners. So bear that in mind as you're listening through it. Blake and I did not create these album covers, but we are talking about them. And as we noted in the title, they're controversial, and you will see why.
Yes. And I know that we say that at the beginning of most episodes, but we're double saying it this time, so take us seriously, okay? All right, let's get into it. You are listening to Tape Spaghetti, the podcast about the twisted and tangled innards of the music industry. Some of this content may not be for all listeners or viewers, so if it's not for you, no harm, no foul. We'll just catch you on the next one. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. Here we go.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Tape Spaghetti. I am Scott Marquardt. This lovely gentleman with me is Blake Weiland, and we are here yet again to tell you of strange and curious stories of music and the music industry.
That's what we do.
It's the highlight of my week, Blake.
Oh, well, that makes me happy. I think it's the highlight of my week too.
Today is a Friday, and it's like 70 degrees in Nashville, or so I am told. I have not been in the outside. I'm stuck in the office still. Mm-hmm. And frankly, it'll be dark by the time I leave. So it's really just nice to know that it's nice outside.
I feel that. I just came back from Central Oregon, the home or the birthplace and former home of our friend Sean at Gun Street, and really had myself a really nice time. I almost had to text you and say, hey, sorry, Scott, we're going to have to crush this in on Monday because I'm going to go ahead and extend this stay by a day.
Oh, you thought about the extension.
And
I always want to extend stays. My wife's always like, I have to get back to work.
The only reason I didn't extend it is because the Airbnb had somebody coming in. So if that had not happened, I would still be in the Bend area, which I highly recommend to all listeners and to you for a visitation at some point. It's
a curious thing when you do like a trip that's like a weekend into a week into the following weekend. Like 9 days can seem like a lot to do something like that. So I often don't. But then sometimes I get there and I'm like, I don't want to go home. But also sometimes I'm like 5 days in and I'm like, this has been nice. Let's go home.
Yeah, this was one of those. We were like 5 days in and I was like, I could use a little more. I could use a little bit more because the first day was, we just got there. So it was not too bad. We just ate dinner and hung out and whatever. And then the second day was a little bit of waiting around to figure out what was going to happen with the band I was interviewing. So it was a lot of like hurry up and wait going on that day. So it was like kind of a work day, but kind of not at the same time. And then we ended up recording at like nighttime. So it was, yeah, that's how it goes.
To our listeners, this is what constitutes a work day for Blake.
That's right. Yeah, waiting around all day for somebody else.
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
Which
is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is not what a lot of people's work days are.
Interviewing the band. It was a lot of fun. And then we went to the show the next night. It was a great trip. But Central Oregon is just beautiful. And the weather was my kind of perfect, which is it doesn't get above like 62 and it's still sunny. So yeah, I was real happy.
That sounds like a dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I want to get down to Nashville. I've been missing Nashville. It's my home away from home. I miss my home away from home.
It's been a while since you've been here. I guess, we're going to see each other in Anaheim before we see each other here.
Yeah, probably so, which is weird.
Most likely.
Yeah. I see you in so many places that aren't Nashville as well. I've seen you in New York like twice, and I've seen you in Portland, and I see you in Anaheim every year. So I see you in places away from home. We have a weird friendship.
You want to see me in my element.
Yes. I want to see you thriving.
You've seen that too.
I have.
Me thriving is me in New York. Me in my element is just like me. Me living my best life is Scott in New York City.
Okay. I've seen that too. I guess yeah. Okay. All right. I know where we're going here. Nobody else knows what we're talking about though, so we should probably segue away from this. All
right. Well, let's segue into the meat of today's episode. It is my presentation, dear listener, and I'm pretty excited about this one. This is one that I haven't done. I haven't done too many compilations in general across our episodic history.
Compilations yet?
I think I've done one or two.
Okay.
But not many. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited. The hard thing with the compilation is that you're kind of like, oh, should like 3 of these have been their whole episode?
Well, I guess the Bond one was a compilation.
That was a compilation.
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, today, dear listener, we are talking about not music itself, but the art that goes along with music, specifically its packaging. That's right, we are talking about some of 10 of the most controversial album covers in history, as selected by me. There are definitely controversial album covers that are not being talked about here, either because I didn't know about them. Blake brought one up earlier, which we won't name, or they just didn't feel like that much fun to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, there's the band that came immediately to my mind was Cannibal Corpse, but that would be the whole episode. It would be every album cover that they've ever produced would be controversial. So
would be the top 10.
Yeah, so I don't think that counts.
Mine steer a little bit more like mainstream for the most part. I guess it really could be like 10 of the most controversial mainstream album covers ever. And this is a fun one for me because there's a lot of some of these I either didn't know about at all or I learned extra things about. There was a lot of new information in researching this one for me, which is pretty fun.
And I think it's probably worth noting that, I'm sure the listeners can figure this out, but Scott and I are from the generation of burned CDs and file sharing and streaming. I mean, granted, we had access to all the older stuff too, but we really came into our own around the time that burned CDs were a thing. So oftentimes I would listen to stuff and I had no idea what the album art was because, Jimmy down the street gave me his burned copy of it. Oh, no. Is there statute of limitations on this? Should I be admitting this publicly? Is the recording industry going to come after me?
I don't see those warnings before every movie anymore.
That's true. Piracy. You wouldn't download a sandwich or whatever it was.
Like I would download a sandwich if I could. Yeah. I would pirate sandwiches all day long.
How can I get a hot dog right now? I'd download it from my LTE network.
But you're right, Blake. We there were definitely a lot of albums we both probably owned that we didn't ever, we didn't reference or see the album cover very often. I did buy a lot of albums too, of course. Lately, as I've probably mentioned on this, I've been trying to listen to CDs in the car for millennial nostalgia purposes, I guess, mostly.
Sure.
And my neighborhood bar that I hang out at a lot, called Vinyl Tap here in Nashville, is also a bar/record store. And whenever I'm there, they've got a bunch of used CDs that have come in here and there. So I usually browse and flip through that and grab a couple that are, $5 a piece. And the other day I got Rage Against the Machine's Evil Empire on CD.
Yeah.
And what was the other one? See, it just eludes me.
Yeah, one of the other
It'll
records
be there to excite me when I get into the car.
Funny enough, I did on our way
NWA,
back yesterday.
That's what it was. It's straight out of Compton.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Sorry, it took me a second. I was visualizing it, but I was like, who is that?
Who are those young fellas on there? Yeah. Funny enough, on this topic, our car has a CD player as well. And we, on the way back yesterday, had run out of reception coming over Mount Hood. And Lynn's like, don't worry, I have my CD wallet in the glove box. And I was like, oh,
amazing.
Yeah, here we go. And put on some random burned compilations that she had made. It was great. Great nostalgia.
Yeah, dude,
trip.
it's the best. It's the best. So without further ado, let's jump on in. We're going to be going in chronological order of the from the oldest to the newest of the ones that I've selected. So first up, we have, and listeners at home, you may want to Google some of these and see so you can see what we're talking about. We'll describe them kind of as best as we can. But you might want to see what the actual album art actually looks like. So this, first up, is from the Beatles. It's the cover of Yesterday and Today from 1966. And this specifically is known as the Butcher cover, quote unquote. On the cover, you'll see each of the Beatles in white coats with raw meat draped around them and a variety of dismembered baby dolls assorted between them. It's kind of a wild cover. Do you have it pulled up on your end, Blake?
I do. Yeah. This is one that I had kind of forgotten about. I'd seen it before and I read about it being controversial. But of course, by the time my jaded self came to see this, I was like, oh, that's it. That's what people are so upset about. But I totally get it, especially in the context of the time. Right?
Yeah, it's 1966. So I'm right there with you. It doesn't seem like as appalling. It's just a bunch of raw meat and baby dolls. But it's strange. It's strange for 1966 America.
It's strange for now. I mean, like I said, I'm kind of jaded. I've watched a bunch of horror movies and seen a bunch of terrible things. You know, the things we saw on Rotten.com as millennials. Like we're all destroyed from that. But this one, I think it's I think the dolls both make it more playful, but also more disturbing.
I think
depends
so
on
too.
your viewpoint on it.
Dolls are a frightening thing. So this was made by photographer Robert Whitaker, and it wasn't shot specifically to be an album cover. It was part of his conceptual series, A Somnambulant Adventure, which was a sort of strange and symbolic series of photos that he did. There are several different interpretations as to why this was chosen by, as the cover by them. So Whitaker himself, the photographer, described this as a critique of Beatlemania and idol worship. 1966, the Beatles are, they're kind of progressing out of being like the 60s version of NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys into, being the 60s version of Radiohead. So they definitely are like the faces of teen idol worship in a lot of ways. So from his end, he was setting the band in this sort of like absurd, unsettling scenario to kind of puncture this saintly image that they had as these teen idols. But this conflicts a little bit with some stories from the band and from fans. John Lennon himself later implied that it reflected the violence of the times with, being the Vietnam War and a lot of social upheaval. I find that to be kind of somewhat curious, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't quite feel like a critique on war exactly, but why not? And fans and writers have also taken it as a bit of a metaphor for Capitol Records butchering, quote unquote, the band's albums for the U.S. market. They would shuffle around track lists and, add, delete songs, etc. This is the most widely repeated of the interpretations for what this is, but there's no real documented original intent, from the band or the photographers around that particular conception. So Capitol Records actually pressed about like 750,000 sleeves of this, and they shipped about 60,000 units to retailers before like the DJs and retailers started complaining about it. Radio and press described it as sick and gruesome and in poor taste. Stores refused to display it, all that usual kind of stuff. So Capitol Records launched Operation Retrieve to recall all the stock that they had sent out into the world and pasted this new trunk photo over top of it. So for a lot of these records, they literally like glued the new album cover over top of the old album cover.
Okay.
And the new album cover is what I kind of knew this as. It's just like the guys like sitting on some suitcases.
Yep, I've seen that one. Yep.
There's a couple of suitcases inexplicably, and they're sitting on them.
Yep.
So they initially kind of redid those to avoid the cost of having to make all new entire gatefolds. It probably wasn't a gatefold, but you know what I mean. They were able to do that, get them all kind of covered up, and then for the new stuff that they were making, they went ahead and just used the new photo, obviously. But some of these are incredibly collectible on the secondhand market. So they call them First State, which is the unpasted, the like literal, like actual original album cover. And then Second State, like the paste over or later peeled off versions, are some of the most valuable Beatles collectibles out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember reading about this and, kind of having this like, what do you mean? Yes, yesterday and today is a controversial cover. It's just them sitting around. What are you talking about? It's like, is there a body in those cases? What's going on? And then
it's the original Paul.
Yeah, that's right. See our previous episode. This cover, when I first saw it, I was like, okay. Like I said, I was a little bit jaded. Like it didn't affect me personally, but I get it. I get the controversy. It's intentionally upsetting, of course, in some ways. Yeah. But it's actually kind of cool. Of course, I'm a metalhead.
I think it's cool too.
Yeah, I like it.
I think it's cool too. But my favorite of these, in terms of like what I think is a super cool album cover, is the next one we're going to be talking about.
All
so
right,
we're going to jump forward.
Slide over
5 years. So this is the Rolling Stones Sticky Fingers from 1971. The cover of this features a man's, denim-clad crotch with a real working metal zipper on the actual LP and belt. The original LP jacket had an actual literal zipper sewn in that you could zip down.
I didn't realize that.
Obviously. Oh yeah. So on that photo I showed you, you can see that's like a real brass zipper.
I thought I could tell that it was kind of weird. I didn't realize that it was actually functional. Okay.
And I think it's maybe worth noting there's if you look up through the pattern of the pants, there's some stuff underneath there. If you look over on the left side, It's not like it doesn't look like a Ken doll.
I think it's a sock.
It could be a sock. Who knows? But it's definitely implied that you're looking at something that you could zip down and see more. Mm-hmm. So this one rather coolly was created by Andy Warhol. It was his whole like concept and direction that made it happen. Mm-hmm. Craig Braun and his team handled the packaging design and engineering the actual zipper sleeve. The model. So I always thought this was Mick Jagger.
I assumed.
I always thought that was like his midsection. I guess I just assumed. Mm-hmm. But that's not the case. The model is widely believed to be Andy Warhol's associate, Joe D'Alessandro. But it's never been definitively confirmed and is somewhat still debated by people. So Mick Jagger himself wanted like a modern, risque pop art inflected image, which is what led them to kind of working with Andy Warhol, the wizard of pop art himself. Warhol proposed the crotch zipper idea, and Jagger kind of loved it and was like, "You just do whatever you want." Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As you can imagine, I mean, this is 71. It's not 66. Things are a little bit less buttoned up or zipped up, as it were. And also, this is kind of, this is a step further. It's a rather overtly sexual album cover, in my opinion. At least.
Yeah, of course.
For the time, at least. So in some conservative markets, like especially Franco-era Spain, the crotch art was deemed obscene and the cover was banned and replaced with an alternate design. But also, I got turned around there on my notes. So in some places it was banned for that reason, and it's kind of widely held that in the US and other markets, that's what happened too, is there was a lot of controversy around the zipper. But what actually happened was the zipper caused physical damage in shipping.
I wondered about
a bunch of these LPs, mm-hmm. and the zipper from the record underneath would press up into the album on top of it, which would give that LP a ring impression where it dug in, and that would basically make them unplayable, at least that side of the record. Mm-hmm. And that's actually what caused them to have to pull it. Mick Jagger said at the time, when they realized that this was happening, after they were all shipping out to record stores all over the world, that we were, well, I'll say boned, since this is a vaguely clean podcast. But they had to scramble really quickly to figure out how to solve this. So they kept the cover, but the trick that they ended up finding was to ship records with the zipper partly unzipped so it would rest over the label of the LP instead of over the actual grooves.
Right. So that's really funny because we deal with shipping things all the time, and there are, sometimes we make mistakes, but we try to be pretty careful about designing things for this very reason. And so my brain immediately, as soon as you told me it was a functional zipper, I went, how are they going to ship that? That's the first thing I thought of. Like, that's gonna be a problem, I think.
You were smart. Yeah, smart. I wouldn't have thought of that, and I guess the Rolling Stones didn't either.
I think they were focused on other things at the time. But
it's possible.
Yeah, I was just like, I think if that's a real zipper, that's gonna not like sit flat with everything, and it could cause some. That's so funny. My brain is weird. I don't know why that's the first thing I thought of when I peered upon this particular image.
You were smart, brother. You were right on top of that. So yeah, I mean, in the years since, this has become like one of the most iconic album covers ever, I think. Yeah. And as best as I could tell, the only place it was ever really like banned was Franco-era Spain. Everyone else kind of rode with it. So not really as controversial as a lot of the lore kind of suggests. Mm-hmm. It was really just a poor packaging decision.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. This isn't on the list, I don't think, but I think a lot of people who may have taken issue with this particular cover would have been, I'm kind of generalizing here, so I don't mean to like point fingers necessarily, but I think a lot of people would have simultaneously been okay with Springsteen's Born in the USA, which is just the opposite of this.
Yes.
My wife recalls like loving that album as a kid, but always being slightly embarrassed by the cover and having to like turn it around and just be like, all right, that's a butt.
It is a butt.
It's a nice one, but still it's a butt.
I wasn't going to say it, but I'm not going to argue with you.
Hey, I'm just calling it as I see it, and I've seen it. I don't know where to go from
Segueing on. to where things get even a little bit weirder. We're going to jump 3 years henceforward into 1974.
All right,
and this is the cover of David Bowie's Diamond Dogs.
So
You'll notice
this is one of the ones I've never seen before.
It's the gatefold. Me either. So, okay. So what we're looking at here, everybody, it is an image of David Bowie as a sort of chimera. So it's the upper body of David Bowie merging into the lower body of a dog. And it does so in an incredibly realistic way.
Yes. In a very, very unsettling. I think I've scrolled through all the images you've sent so far, and I've seen most of them. This is, I think, weirdly, while being like the most quote unquote appropriate one, probably the most disturbing to me.
I find it extremely disturbing as well. Behind him are like some carnival murals. So you see it says like the strangest living curiosities. And there's a couple of like troll looking people off to the side. So it's definitely supposed to be like a sideshow sort of thing. But again, I have to really emphasize exactly how realistic it looks. You can see, and this is what really upset people at the time, you can make out the dog's genitals here and there. And honestly,
sort
to me,
of. I mean,
that's what upset people was the genitals. But even if I couldn't see the dog's genitals, the whole thing is just deeply upsetting.
I'll be honest, I didn't really even notice that at first.
Yeah.
It was
that's
like,
not where my brain goes either.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this is just kind of uncomfortable to look at.
Yeah. So the way that this came about, Belgian painter Guy Pielert, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, was known for his stylized, hyper-real works just like this. He did the book Rock Dreams, which is kind of similar. So David Bowie was moving into kind of a dystopian post-Ziggy Stardust persona, drawing heavily on Orwellian imagery. And they kind of came up with this idea of the hybrid creature to fit the album's themes of kind of trashy futurism, mutations, decay, all these sorts of things. And they came up with it. Guy painted it. He did a very good job.
He did a great job.
He's clearly an incredibly talented painter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's bothersome because it looks so real.
Yeah, this is like some David Cronenberg body horror type of thing that's going on here.
Big time.
Mm-hmm.
Big time. So RCA executives, as you can imagine, balked at the rather explicit dog anatomy on the mainstream release. So they decided to airbrush the genitals out before the commercial release. The edited version has kind of become the standard sleeve over time. So they caught this one early. A small number of uncensored gatefold sleeves did leak out. They were kind of sample copies that had been made, and they're extremely valuable. The ones that you can find that have the dog genitals present. Imagine pulling you over to like, let me show you my record collection. Now this is the extremely rare dog dick version of Diamond Dogs. It cost me $100,000.
It's one of those weird things. All of these, to a degree, I'm all for artistic expression and people being able to do what they want in this realm. But it is like strange to me as a human just to be like, Scott, I've created this wonderful work of art. I love this album. I poured my heart and soul into it. And here is me as an anthropomorphic dog on the cover.
Wow.
Yeah, you'd be like, well, good sir, that's an interesting choice, I think.
I like to imagine that every painting has like what it has in a sitcom where it is like behind a sheet and there's like a small crowd and it is unveiled all at once to the small crowd. I don't know if that much pomp and circumstance occurs with every painting, but I like to imagine this is behind a sheet and somebody was like, I can't wait to show you what we've come up with.
That's right.
And then, ta-da!
And I just have to imagine, like, I'm not exactly sure if I'm getting the era correct here, but David Bowie with some illicit white, powder maybe around his nose being like, it's great. I love it. It's fantastic. It's exactly what I want.
It was that time.
Yeah. Okay. This makes sense.
It was that time. So the next one.
Hello, everybody. This is Blake and Scott from after recording this episode. This is a first for us, but we decided that we had a section in here we didn't really actually want to talk about. We talked
one
about
of the album covers that we talked about very much included to be on this list because it's pretty messed up. But upon a little bit of reflection, we were like, well, I don't really want to give that any more oxygen than it has.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's been discussed in the past, and it very much is controversial, but more than controversial, I think it's kind of wrong. So we're just going to, no, it's not kind of wrong. It's very wrong. We're not going to talk about it. If you need to know more, you can Google Scorpion's controversial album cover. I don't suggest you do that.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't. But if you want to, it's out there. But yeah, so it's really going to be a top 9, I guess.
Yeah, I wish I could erase it from my brain. And so therefore, we're not going to infect you with it.
Yes, you're welcome. Believe us.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the show.
So let's get off of this particular topic and move to one that's not only marginally better. We are we're skipping forward a lot of years to 1987, and we're talking about Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. And this is one I didn't know anything about. I didn't know that this was supposed to be the cover, at least. I saw it on the inside. So the original cover, go ahead.
So I've seen this before, but for some reason, I thought it was like a promo image or something that wasn't actually supposed to be the cover.
Yeah. So the original cover shows this robot who has apparently assaulted a woman in like a sort of like futuristic robot alley. And there's some sort of like crazy flying flesh thing over top.
Yeah, it looks like is that supposed to be part of the image, or is it like a comic book where that's a different frame? It almost looks like
it's part of the image. It's what you're seeing is the fence, because there's like a hat thing hanging over the fence.
Yes, there you go.
You can make it out a little bit better in the shadow. It almost looks like some sort of like Avenger or something.
Oh yes, the thing is coming. I see the shadow on the fence is of the mutant fleshy crazed thing, which the mutant fleshy crazed thing is not the disturbing part of this image.
No, yeah, it's the what's going on with the woman and everything. That's a little bit bothersome here. So this was created by Robert Williams it was his 1978 work Appetite for Destruction, funnily enough. So Axl Rose encountered the painting in a book of Williams' art and tracked him down wanting to license it. Obviously, was interested in the title as well. Axl and the band felt that it reflected the sleazy, violent, underground sort of feel of their material in the Los Angeles general street world at the time. Almost immediately, major chains, the big boxes and all that, refused to stock the album due to its depiction of sexual violence. Good on you guys. I'm for it. So Geffen responded pretty quickly with replacing the front cover with the now like iconic and classic cross with the skulls of the various band members that was adapted from an Axl Rose tattoo. The original artwork that you're looking at right now was moved to the inner sleeve in the booklet of subsequent pressings.
Okay. That must have been where I came across it at some point, thumbing through somebody's dad's, cassette collection or something.
Yeah.
Because I definitely had seen this before, but I also hadn't really thought. I think actually that's almost exactly where I saw it, because I saw it and I didn't really think that much about it, probably because it was really small. It was in like a cassette. So now looking at it with a fresh, singular eyeball, this is a little more upsetting than I kind of like wrote it off as some sort of comic book sci-fi thing, and it is, but it goes pretty far.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And there's not too much else to say about this one other than that I just didn't know it was a thing. Like the Appetite for Destruction cover is so iconic.
Yes.
Like that is another of the like top album covers ever. So I mean, I think they were wise to replace it. I guess it's another example of the replacement being better than the thing that came before.
Yeah. I guess in this, we like to point our fingers at the labels and say, oh, that's stupid a lot. But in this case, I think they were right.
I agree. So let's go ahead and move on. We're just going to skip forward by 1 year this time. We are going to the cover of Prince's Love Sexy. You got it pulled up over there?
I always do.
I love Prince. He's so extra. For the listeners at home, it is Prince in front of are you good at flowers, Blake? It's a purple flower. My wife would be like. It
kind of looks like an orchid, but I think it's been colored for the image. I don't know if it's actually that color.
Yeah. And so Prince is nude outside of a long necklace. and very slender.
Yes.
And he is sort of reclined upon this. You can't see anything, like
he's tastefully
his legs
covered,
are crossed in such a way.
Or maybe untastefully, depending on your viewpoint. But
that's what
covered.
I think is funny about this one. You nailed it. It's tasteful in a way, like there's nothing that feels sexual about it exactly.
Well, see,
he looks like a Greco-Roman nude.
See, it does. And so here's the thing, though. Prince does this, and it's kind of tasteful, and it's artsy, and it's interesting. If I do this, you'd be like, what are you doing?
Yeah, if this is the cover of Kevin James's, stand up, it would be more bothersome.
It's kind of weird how like there is a double standard, not necessarily just like between, just between, it depends on who it is. I guess the point is some people can pull things off and some people can't. And I'm not necessarily even saying because like Prince is in very good shape in this photo or anything. It's just like, some people you would like believe that it's art, and some people you're like, you just wanted to be naked, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean.
For Prince, it's a little of both.
Certain body types are tolerated in like sort of public displays of the body, and others are not pictured. And I don't think either you or I's body types are aggressively pictured. You're at least close to as hairless as Prince.
Yeah, I think actually I'm more.
I think you're more hairless.
I'm more. No, I am. I'm more hairless than him by actually a good bit.
If you've seen that image of Burt Reynolds on the rug, or like Joe Namath in that pantyhose commercial, that's more what you're getting under the hood with me.
I'm closer to this, but more cubic, so it doesn't really work either.
That seems fair.
The lines don't fit the proportions of the album cover as well.
Yes.
But what did people think about this?
Yeah, so the story of this one, it's a semi-photo, semi-painted image of Prince himself. It was based on a photo of Jean-Baptiste Mondino, which is retouched and treated so that it looks kind of painterly. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's part of why it feels more okay. It does feel like it's painted.
That's true. Yeah.
It's smoothed.
Yeah, it's very... Yes, Prince doesn't really... Prince was a good-looking fella. Prince doesn't really look like that. Not really.
I think that all depends. Anyway,
his face in particular, like you can tell it's had a lot of white, like highlights.
There's some touch-ups for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Love Sexy was put out following the last-minute cancellation of the Black Album, which we touched on when we talked about in our episode talking about Prince turning himself into a symbol.
Yes.
Prince framed this as a spiritual and artistic rebirth. The nude cover was also part of his idea of erotic spirituality. Sex and faith intertwined rather than opposed, which is a good, not a segue, but time for a brief digression.
Okay.
On this podcast, an episode or two prior, I made a casual reference to the Oneida sex cult, the people that made the silverware.
And people really latched onto that.
Well, so that is, it was, funnily enough, it was pictured, there's a new Netflix series called Death by Lightning about President James Monroe and the guy who murdered him. Assassinated him. It's great. Would recommend. Matthew McFadden, Nick Offerman, Bradley Whitford. Who else? Michael Shannon, of course. Is James Monroe.
Oh man,
it's lovely. Mm-hmm. But it is mentioned that like the guy, the assassin, was a member of the Oneida sex cult. Okay. There's some scenes of that. So it was a very funny like Red Corolla effect of mentioning that and being like, oh. I was just talking about that.
Yeah, and it's weird. I've seen the spoons. Like, we don't own them, but like I was just, again, at Airbnb, and I was like, oh, there's the spoon.
I had them growing up. Yeah, everyone had the sex cult's spoons.
So weird. Anyway,
going back to the matter at hand, some record stores refused to stock this album because of the nude imagery. Others agreed to carry it only if it was wrapped in, again, black opaque packaging so that the cover wouldn't be visible on the shelf. There was no recall with this one. The cover officially remained unchanged. Distribution did frequently use the black wrap or alternate display methods to kind of hide it. But it did not result in any sort of, pearl clutching and changing of the album or anything.
Yeah.
Again, I think because it's Prince. And it's not Prince. Like Prince's first album. I think people are expecting this stuff out of Prince and are like, it will only encourage him. If we make us think about it.
You know that Rolling Stones cover? Do you want to see it without the pants? Because if we keep poking this guy, that's what he's going to do.
Where it's going to get.
Yeah.
Exactly. So moving on a couple of years, we're going to, I didn't send you this one because you don't need, you know what it is.
Okay.
1991. Can you guess which album in 1991 is the thing? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
That Smells Like Teen Spirit, right? Like
yeah, Nevermind.
Nevermind.
Yeah. Nevermind from the band.
That's
Nirvana.
right. That's not the single. That's the actual album cover. You're right.
Nevermind. Yeah. Nevermind has the famous cover of a naked baby swimming underwater, reaching towards a dollar bill on a fishhook.
Yeah. And again, like this one is, I totally understand the controversy. I also understand like kind of what they're going for with this image. It obviously doesn't bother me as much as the Scorpions cover because there's not the other connotation there. This is like a kind of a statement on capitalism, really, at the end of the day. But it's still like you could have probably made that same exact statement in shorts.
Yes.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I concur. I think you're absolutely right. So this was done by photographer Kirk Weddle, who's an underwater photography specialist. The baby, famously, is Spencer Eldon, the son of one of Weddle's friend. Kurt Cobain got the idea for this album cover after seeing a TV documentary on water births, which seems like exactly what Kurt's watching in 1990, 1991. Yep. And he knew upon watching that documentary about water births that he wanted that to be the cover of the next album. So he knew that he wanted an underwater baby. Obviously, the baby is not being birthed in this particular image. Thank goodness.
Yes.
The dollar bill idea came from the band and the label as sort of a satirical nod to capitalism and commercial bait. You have the innocent baby literally chasing money. So there were some concerns early on with this one. The Geffen executives worried about the visible infant penis. I can't believe these words that I'm saying in this episode. we're putting a disclaimer on this one.
Oh, we have to.
I'll record it later. And they considered a censored or altered cover. Cobain famously proposed a sticker saying that anyone is offended must be a closet pedophile, which I think is, somewhat of I get his point. He's just like, there's nothing sexual about it. It's a baby.
Agreed, but that doesn't mean I want to see it, especially not walking through Target unexpectedly. You know what I mean? I'm not changing a diaper here. Like we're just walking through browsing records.
I agree. So the after some back and forth, Geffen ultimately decided to release the uncensored cover that we all know. They had a few alternatives apparently available at the ready should they need to employ them. A number of individual retailers, as you can imagine, were uncomfortable with the nudity, but there was on this one no large scale recall. That cover is still the same cover worldwide. That's why almost nobody listening to this probably had to look it up. It's a very well known cover.
Oh, we froze. We're back. Or I froze. We good?
You froze.
Yep.
I guess we should clap so you can see it.
Yep.
I just said it's a very well-known cover.
And I can cut in with a little anecdote here, so that's what I'll do.
Perfect.
So my first encounter with this album cover is actually kind of funny because in music class, the teacher would allow students to bring in records to play and, show them like, this is one of my favorite songs, right? And this was maybe the first time I had heard this song. I'm going to say I was in third or fourth grade. I can't remember. I think it was third grade. And a kid brought in this record and he smartly took the sleeve out and turned it around and put it to where the non-offending part would be what you would see. However, he was not smart enough to think that maybe I should find a random page and fold it over, or maybe just remove it entirely, because when he opened it, the music teacher saw the cover and was like, we're not playing that one, which I thought was kind of weird because he had a CD player. We listened to it later. But I thought it was kind of weird because, there's no way this music teacher didn't know. Well, as soon as he said, I'm bringing in Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit, or excuse me, Nevermind. And he was indeed going to play Smells Like Teen Spirit. He kind of did a little diatribe about it. There's no way they didn't know that was the cover already, which is kind of weird. I get why they put a stop to it, but I'm like, this is 2000.
I mean, not everybody follows that stuff as closely as you think.
It's a music teacher though.
all the more so.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I'm not saying she did a bad thing or anything. I'm just saying I remember being like, oh, that is I totally understand why you don't want to play this. And then I heard that record and it kind of changed my life. So,
the rest is history.
Yep. It is. It's definitely on the list for a reason, though. It's a weird one.
It's an odd one. So later, Spencer Eldon, the baby, he's a baby pictured. He is no longer a baby. He sued the band, the photographer, and other associated parties, alleging that the image of himself constituted child pornography. He basically kind of grew up to not like having been the baby on this cover that sold millions and millions and millions.
I understand that. Can you imagine going to high school being that baby? Everybody's going to be making fun of you the whole time.
I would think so.
Yeah.
So after multiple rounds of litigation and an appeal, a U.S. federal judge again dismissed the revived lawsuit in 2025. So this is the latest that we have on it, ruling that the image does not meet the legal criteria for child pornography and likening it to an innocuous family photo. So as of current, there's been no ruling in the baby's favor, or the adult who was the baby. I keep calling him the baby. He is not a baby anymore.
And this is probably where his regret stems from, because everyone calls him the baby.
Calls him the baby.
Yeah.
That would not be good. That would not be very fun.
No.
So let us move on, not by much in terms of years. We're just going to skip ahead 1 year, but for once, topically, we will not be talking about anything sexual exactly. The stuff with children is behind us now.
Finally.
So it's a clear path from here. I will concede that in like prepping this, I was like, oh, I got to talk about these. Like these deserve to be in here. But then talking through it, I'm like, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Talk about it. Everyone else has talked about it already. I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to. Yeah. So we're through with that for the most part. There's only one like icky one left.
Okay.
And it's not exactly this one. So we are going to 1992. And we are looking to none other than the band Rage Against the Machine with their cover for their self-titled album, Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, of course.
So the cover itself is a crop of Malcolm Brown's famous 1963 photograph of Buddhist monk Thich Quang Duc, I'm probably saying that wrong, self-immolating, meaning setting himself on fire in Saigon in protest against the South Vietnamese government's persecution of Buddhists. And it's in black and white on this particular shot. I guess the photo's in black and white. I feel like I've seen some of these photos that are in color. I can't remember. And all they really did to it, they cropped it, and then there's a little, typewriter font of Rage Against the Machine at the very top. You can see some onlookers looking over top of a car that looks a lot like Fozzie's Studebaker in the original Muppet movie.
It sure does.
Yep. There's a monk very much like half on fire. And that's about to be it for him.
Yeah, this is still, man, I know that this image exists and I've seen it probably hundreds of times at this point, and it still hits me right in the old stomach every time. Like, woof. Yeah. Not just like, forget about it being a Rage Against the Machine cover. This image is just mind blowing.
Yeah, so I should mention, the original image by Malcolm Brown, who's working for the Associated Press at the time, it won the 1963 World Press Photo Award and helped galvanize world opinion on the Vietnam War, even kind of before that all happened. So this is like a super legendary photo in its own regard. And honestly, I'm a little bit surprised they were able to secure the rights to it. It's a pretty legendary photo.
Yeah. No, this is probably one of the most famous photos in history. I am also surprised that they were able to get the go ahead to use it.
Yeah. The band specifically chose it. I think it's probably fairly obvious to anyone that knows the band to kind of align with their radical or activist ethos that they really had.
I'm not listening to that band anymore since they got political.
Yeah. They maybe always have been, as it might turn out. So this aligns definitely with their ethos of like they're showing like this is somebody who really means what they're saying. They're not just saying it. Yep. It's kind of a dead serious statement on their politics. Not it's an easy thing to kind of oppose to kind of classic like punk posturing. Kind of like having politics but not really meaning anything by it.
And were people like, because this photo had been around for a long time, a lot of people had already seen it. Were people banning this one, or what was the response?
No, so this one was not banned by anybody. It was always kind of considered shocking and very, confrontational. But there was not a major coordinated, recall or retailer ban or anything like that. The cover has remained unchanged since its release and is now seen of, one of those defining images in like political rock and roll.
100%. And a great record.
Oh, yeah. So I think, this isn't as much, unlike a lot of these, it's not like the band didn't choose to create the visual. They just chose to adapt the visual. But the visual itself is as striking as just about anything we've talked about.
Yeah, 100%. And I, in some ways, because of the context around it and what the band stands for and everything, this is like shocking in how powerful the image is, but it's less controversial to me. It's like, this is a thing that happened. The photographer documented it. It came out as horrible as it is what's going on and what it's commenting on. It's a beautiful image at the same time. Like, it just aesthetically, everything just kind of the way everything's balanced in it. It's crazy to think that something this horrendous can be beautiful, but it really is.
I think that the reason this one didn't cause some widespread controversy is that it was old. Yeah, I think it just comes down to that. Like, people tend to be like, oh, that's fine. I've seen that before. I'm 45 now. I saw this when I was 15. It can't be bad now.
Right.
Whereas I think if this was an image of something that was happening, at the same time as they put out the album, I think people would be like, how dare you co-opt, that thing on one side, and the other people would just be horrified of like, this is not suited for people to see.
That's a good point, because if a band had come out with like an image of the Twin Towers falling that year, right. That would have been like, whoa. But if a band did it now, it'd be more viewed as a commentary on America.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah. 30 years later, it still, ruffles some feathers, but not in the same way.
I think that's a good point.
So moving on, this is one we were moving on to 1996 to Metallica's Load. I know this album cover. I did not know it was controversial. Did you?
I also knew this album cover, and I found out about 2 years ago what the album cover is, and now I get it.
That was news to me. Yeah. I just thought it was some wispy red stuff. So for the listeners at home, Metallica's Load, you've got like, a couple black bars at the top and the bottom, and then in between them is what looks like a photograph. I guess it could be a painting if you didn't know, of some red. It looks like bloody snot is what it looks like. It looks, but it's like a red, yellow, gooey liquid that's bubbling and, looks like it's been spread over a glass plate or something like that.
Good description.
So the photograph that is featured in Metallica's Load is titled Semen and Blood 3.
Yeah. So it's smashed between a slide, yes. I believe. So like if you were going to use a microscope to look at this stuff, and you were going to say who it was by. So go ahead.
Yeah. So it's Andres Serrano is the artist, and he created it by pressing cow's blood and his own semen, which I guess, I don't know if that's more or less disturbing.
For some reason, it bothers me more that it's human.
It probably should. He's pressing these things, as you noted, between plexiglass sheets, like a slide, and photographing the result.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, this could be not right, that the band came, or at least some members of the band came to not like this cover very much. I think it was a split decision, if I remember correctly. I'm going off of an article I read about 2 years ago, I guess. So it's a little foggy in my brain, but I do remember that it wasn't necessarily a unanimous decision on this one.
I don't have too much like fact checked detail on that. Let me call Lars, but I couldn't.
I'll call him up real quick. Yeah.
So Andres Serrano, the artist, he was already famous long before this. His most well-known work features a submerged crucifix, with the little Jesus figure on it, submerged in a jar or a tank of the artist's own urine. So this is a thing is a trend that we're kind of getting on, and that also won the Southeastern Center for the Contemporary Arts awards in visual art competition for the year. Sponsored in part by the National Endowment for the Arts. This is the kind of stuff that, like, when people are talking about like defunding like the National Endowment for the Arts, they're always like, look at this. This is what they paid money to do. Is this where our tax dollars are going?
And I don't normally go along with that, but in light of this, I'm like, kind of like, wait a minute, what are we spending money on? Because I could do that for free. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that we necessarily need to spend money on that. Just saying.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I generally am on the side of like funding art and stuff, but they do always kind of cherry pick like the worst, most, egregious things. I will just say, and then I'll get off of it, but like, it's probably worth noting in the defense of the people who would be upset by it, that if that was like a different religious figure, there would probably be a lot of, claims that this is like a hate crime in some way.
Yeah, that is the thing. Yeah, exactly.
Like if it was it's because that's like the majority religion in this country. But if it was a minority religious figure, I think a lot of people would be like, "Oh my God, what are you, what are you trying to say?" Yeah,
what are you trying to say? And I remember reading about that, and according to the articles I was reading, he wasn't really trying to say anything. He just thought it looked nice, which maybe is true. I don't know. That's not where my hobbies lie. Is using bodily fluids and taking photos of them. It's not my thing, but hey, we live in a free country, so whatever.
We do. So Lars Ulrich and Kirk Hammett, two members of Metallica, for those uninitiated out there, were fans of Serrano's work, and they pushed to use it as the visual identity of Load and a different piece for Reload, the companion album that came with it. So that's allegedly kind of where it came from. The band, especially Lars, wanted like a modern art provocative aesthetic as they moved away from thrash into more kind of hard rock alt metal. So they wanted something to kind of suit that. And the bodily fluid image was seen as a metaphor for this raw, sort of visceral, physical emotion that the band was kind of projecting with their music at the time. And so some of that might be apocryphal, but that's kind of what's said about it. Many fans did not like this cover.
Yes. And the album itself, not necessarily a fan
favorite. Album itself. And that's kind of the weird thing is like, I don't even think that the fan backlash was due to the bodily fluid component of it. This is just like Metallica cut their hair. They are sounding different. This is not, this is the era you started to see a lot of longtime Metallica fans be like, blah, I'm out.
Yep. Yeah, I remember being shown this record,
and the rest of us stuck it out to see Saint Anger.
Clang!
We're like, that was all worth it.
You know what? I'll be honest. I listened to that record here somewhat recently just to see how I felt about it with modern ears, and I have to say, I've heard that snare not maybe as aggressive as that in other places, and I think maybe Metallica paved the way for some metalcore bands in a way that we didn't expect. I'm gonna say that album, not the greatest effort by Metallica, but not as bad as I remember it being.
All right, so between you, me, and however many listeners we have now, I kind of like the song "Saint Anger."
I kind of do too.
I kind of do.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
I liked it at the time, and I was like, "Oh, okay, we're not gonna. No, we don't like that one. Okay."
Like, you don't. Yeah, that's not cool. Okay,
I want to listen to it right now. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of dumb, but I like.
Gets respect.
I'm in anger with you.
Man in anger with me. Clang, 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 clang. It's great. It's a lot of fun. It's fun. Okay.
So, how do you feel about Load and Reload? Because like you've got Fuel on Reload.
Fuel
is like,
yeah.
Come on, that is as classic of a Metallica song as they come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's got its moments. Overall, it just... See, I can listen to... And now, again, some people don't agree with me here. My introduction to Metallica was, again, through burned CDs and compilations and stuff. And so sometimes I'm like, wait, which song was on what? I can't remember. But for me, the front to back Metallica album that I won't skip anything on is Black Album. Now, it's not their most aggressive and the ones that Metallica fans will be like, oh, that's not the best one. But it did something for me. So
I couldn't disagree more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning are the two that I'm
Master of Puppets
straight
is
through.
supreme. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. I think Ride the Lightning's my favorite.
Is it?
Yeah. Black Album's good. It's good.
I love Black Album. Man.
It's a legendary. I'm not in any way trying to take anything away from that album. It's legendary. It's just, I don't know. It's not what I like to go back to.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, they got something for everybody. As Load and Reload and all the others, Garage Inc. And, there's a Metallica for everyone.
There is. That's what happens when you're a band for 40 years or whatever.
And we both just saw Metallica recently, and I can say, still put on a killer show.
Oh my God. That's my favorite thing I did all year.
It's so good.
Absolutely my favorite thing I did all year. And I didn't even expect it to be.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I guess I'll go. And then I was like, oh my God. Anyway, James Hetfield has said in some interviews that he disliked the art, as you were saying. There's even been some where, he described himself as fuming years later about this work being chosen. So as you alluded, there's some controversy within the band about this decision. Granted, and I think it's because it's just not that obvious what it is. Retailers carried it without any issue. There was no censoring, recall, or anything like that.
Most people had no idea.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, like, what would there be how would you censor it?
Yeah.
Like, it's not obvious what it is.
No, most people have no idea. I'm a Metallica fan. I didn't know till 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, same. It's one of those things, I think if you had, censored it in some way, you would have only brought attention to it. You'd be like,
and then once people saw it, they'd be like, all right.
No, I think if it was behind a black bag and you saw it, you're like, wait, what? I would have to know what it is. Like, what? Yeah. What am I not supposed to be seeing?
Yeah, exactly. And then once you saw it, you'd be like, what's the deal? Why is this censored? You'd still be confused unless somebody told you.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So that's that one. I knew this was going to be on the list for some reason, even before you told me what we were talking about today. Because we briefly discussed this was going to be the topic. I didn't know it was going to be today, though. I just knew it was going to come up.
Yeah, anyway. I'd like to surprise you. Yeah, we are on to our 10th and final album. So this one I chose kind of for a reason. This is the one that you did not know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I knew all of these other covers. I'd seen them before in various capacities.
Blake's never listened to a rapper. No, I know that's not true. We are looking at the cover to Kanye West's 2010 album, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And the original cover, which can be hard to even find images of online, it's this large red frame, and inside of it there is a painting of a cartoonish, sort of demonic Kanye-like figure. Some people, imply that it was him on a couch being straddled by a nude, winged, armless female, sort of demonic or sphinx-like character. With exposed breasts, and the male character is holding some sort of bottle.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It looks roughly the dimensions of a 40, but I don't want to assume that. But it looks larger than like a Rolling Rock.
Could be a wine, maybe.
Could be a bottle of wine.
Yeah,
could be a bottle of wine. Yep.
It could be some sparkling water. We don't really know, but it's a bottle.
Who knows? It does look a little bit like a Perrier. I will give you that.
Yeah.
I will give you that. Mm-hmm. So American painter George Condo produced several different pieces for this album, all of which were actually used in some capacity. He has a painting of a ballerina, a painting of a crowned head. This particular painting of these sort of demonic faces were all used. So Kanye explicitly asked Kondo to make something that would cause a stir, maybe even, be banned. An image of decadence, chaos, taboo, something like this that would fit within the artist's, the album's title and themes. For a little bit of context for you and probably a lot of our listeners that are not maybe as up on hip hop, this album was massive in 2010, and not just massive in terms of having hits, it was critically acclaimed at the time as one of the great rap albums to ever exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those weird ones where I have been told many times that I need to listen to it. And by the time I really thought about giving it a go, and I'm sure I will at some point, is about the time that Kanye really lost his mind. And I was like, I don't want to give that guy any more attention.
No, and neither do I anymore. And it's worth noting, like, at this time, he was considered like very eccentric.
Yes. The normal kind of crazy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, like a Prince-like crazy. Yes. Not like what he kind of became. So you would know, I think that you would know several songs on this album.
Oh, you'd be surprised at how much I don't.
Do you know All of the Lights?
No. Nope.
Like, all the lights, all the lights. Famous Kanye song. Monster is on there. Power is on there. I have a hard time believing you didn't like encounter Monster at some point in 2010.
I might have, but I don't know it by name.
That's fair enough. I don't blame you. Runaway is also on there. It had a lot of hits. It was a very successful album. This was like the era of Kanye being taken very seriously as an artist prior to whatever he is now, which is probably deserved and very different. So I chose this one to close this out kind of for a reason. So, which I think will become clear. So Kanye tweeted in October 2010, and this is when it was called Twitter and not X. He didn't X'd. That the cover was banned in the USA, specifically calling out Walmart, complaining about double standards compared to other explicit covers and the like, trying to kind of stoke the flames of this controversy. Big box stores like Walmart and Target do indeed have longstanding policies against visible nudity, as we've kind of covered a few times. But a Walmart spokesperson later said that they had not rejected the art because the label had never submitted that cover for approval at all. Universal, the label behind it, had anticipated these issues and supplied a different, less explicit cover. There's a few different ones that go around of this one. There's one of a ballerina, one of like a crowned head, one that's just like this image you're looking at, but like really heavily pixelated. Like it's this image made up of like, I don't know, 16 pixels or something. And it looks kind of cool in some ways. So yeah, what seems to have really happened here is that Kanye wanted a very explicit and bothersome album cover and sort of like asked for that, cultivating it. They made that, but also very much had like other album covers ready to go to be able to like ship to all of these different places. Kanye was like, oh, we were banned in the USA and it's unfair. They're being unfair to me. And the stores were like, what are you talking about? We have the other ones. That's all they shipped us. No one's even mentioned this one that we're allegedly rejecting here and there. So I bring this up as kind of the last one because this one of all of them feels almost the most contrived.
Oh yeah,
like he really seemingly wanted it to be banned. They were ready to go with all the other versions. It's just kind of trying to stoke. It seems like they're just kind of trying to stoke controversy and get some extra press. A thing which Kanye, especially at the time, is very good at. He has an almost Trump-like ability to stay in the news.
Yeah, which I wonder, honestly, if we'll never know this, but I wonder. I can totally see this scene playing out where Kanye's like, "Yeah, man, this is gonna be the cover, and people are gonna hate it, and this is gonna be this and that, and blah 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 blah." And the label being like, "Yeah, sure, Kanye. Yep, that's definitely gonna be the cover on everything. We're gonna go ahead and use this other one though. I'm just gonna slide that over there." And be like, "Yeah, Kanye, we're totally using the one. Yeah, yep, and then just not."
Yeah, and even then, like going to the artist and being like, "I want you to make me 3, one of which is extremely offensive."
Right, but not the other ones.
Make me all 3. The other 3 should be fine. Seems to imply that you're kind of playing the game here.
I think so, and there's nothing wrong with playing the game, but I think it's also fair when you get called out on it.
I think so too. So that, because we're a little bit over, I'm gonna run right through it. That was my initial top 10 controversial albums. It's not really a top 10. It's really a selection of 10. There are a variety of other ones. Maybe we'll do a part 2 in the future. But there was some controversy afoot here. There's some things I'll never forget. And that's not great.
If you have to cover anything that's anything like that Scorpions cover again, I think we can not do that episode. Okay. Just throwing it out there.
Deal.
We can pass. We can find a different topic.
But it's worth noting, like as much as it pained me to like talk about that, That was a real album cover that got really
so
actually real deal
crazy.
made and put into actual stores. What in God's name? What's wrong with people?
I think that it's good to talk about it because, you know, controversy can be fun, like Kanye's trying to do, and can generate sales and it can generate interest in your actual art, for lack of a better term. And I say that because Kanye's not a painter. You know, he's a rapper. That's what he does. So I would consider his actual art to be that. So in the service of getting people to go to your thing, I understand it. But this one, I'm just like, man, were you guys just all drunk? Like, what were you doing? Like, I think it's totally fair for us to sit here and be like, that was a bad decision. I don't care how I normally feel about artistic endeavors. This was a terrible decision. And I think they get the crown for worst album cover ever.
We have given the crown to somebody.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Shankers and the rest of the Scorpions family.
You have officially earned it. And
well, with that, Blake, I will let you read us out. If you
all
don't
right,
mind
everybody,
carrying us
thanks.
off into the sunset.
Let's go galloping, baby. Thank you for hanging out with us for this episode. I hope it didn't disturb you as much as I am now disturbed. I don't recommend Googling that one. I do recommend leaving us a 5-star, subscribing, share a different one with your friends, and all that good stuff. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Scott, you did a great job presenting. Thank you very much for that. And we'll talk to you all on the internet very soon.